Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. What's caught your guys' attention since we last met?
Well, I was going to say, so something did catch my attention. I was driving down the road. I was off getting some stuff this weekend.
Ice cream fixins?
No,
Okay,
I
just
wasn't. It was building materials.
I was going to say it's got to be building materials. I would have if this is like guess the color
Yeah, I
for
would've
Berkeley
totally.
one. I would have done building materials.
Unfortunately, this picture came out horrible. But Chris, do you know what kind of car this is?
That is a
The black one.
Dodge Horizon.
Which would be a Plymouth
Close.
Horizon.
Yes, that's what I meant.
But look closer.
Is that a Shelby?
That is a Shelby Omni GLH Turbo.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Intercooled.
You're very close.
Intercooled turbo. So yes, Chris, I'll say that's a winner. Saw that car, and my first thought was, I haven't seen one in probably 20 years. My first thought was, and it was beautiful, but my first thought was, wow, there it is. And then my second thought was, I was like, where are my thoughts gone from? That used to be the coolest thing. And even in my head, it was so cool. Even a few weeks ago, I think I brought one up because they were super fast and they were cool for their day. A friend of mine's dad had one for a business car. And I thought, now that I see it, it just seems small and different than it was.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'd feel different if I was driving it. So
Yeah, that's a good...
it's a local car, so they might call us.
I know Yvette, my sister, Vanderbrink Auction, sold one of those at the Guesswine Motor Auction up in Millbank, and he had saved a bunch of Mopars, and that was a low mileage one that he had. And I think it brought $25,000.
I was going to say, I think when I've seen them for sale in the last 10 years, I've seen them between 15 and 20.
Yeah, but I'd still like to. I never did get out and get to rip around and drive one.
Well, let's say my friend's dad had one. It was his business car.
Yeah, did you get to drive it ever?
Oh yeah. We drove it.
Was it as fun as it looked like it could have been?
They were very fast for what they were. People were surprised because
Probably
this
had
one,
like 185 horsepower.
this one, the
Look,
one
you
he
should
had,
look at. No, I think they're like 225. I'd be curious to see what that is.
yeah, the
Make sure
one,
you look up the GLH. There was a couple versions, but the one with the intercooled turbo was like 87.
yeah, and it was fast because I remember I had a friend with a Daytona turbo, and that was just, they weren't that super awesome, but for a 4-cylinder car, when you're used to riding in other 4-cylinder cars of the 80s, 84, 5, 6, 7, right in there, those were dogs. And then when you get in something like that turbo pull and everything, the problem though, I do remember with that Omni, when we would go out and drive it very hard, it had a lot of torque steer. Not as bad as they had 2 other Omnis in the family as well, and they were horrible. They were all manual trans. But if you would drive that Shelby hard for more than 10, 15 minutes, like if you were taking off from every stoplight hard and really winding up the turbo and redlining it, the turbo would glow red.
Oh.
They were bad for that. And so
Mine does
was
that.
What?
We didn't hear that.
So
we didn't hear
would
that, Chris.
the one I just mentioned too.
Daytona?
Yes, they would get their.
Well, they're trying to push those air through the catalytic converters and the restricted exhaust they had.
They
to
would
have,
just get hot, and they would melt down, and there'd be problems with them and warranty issues and things like that. They just weren't made. But now today's cars, we've got these little turbos and cars that have even more power. Than
175 horsepower.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was bumped up from the standard 146.
Are you, sure? Are you sure you got the right one?
So, Chris, what is the weight?
146 horsepower GLH to the 175 horsepower GLH Shelby.
What is the weight of that Shelby? About 1,700 pounds, 1,600 pounds?
2,800 pounds, I bet.
Let's see.
It was super
Top
light.
speed 135.
Sounds dangerous in that car.
It sure does.
Well, we drove to Dallas with our foot on the floor.
That's why the turbo was growing.
Well, no, it was on the highway. It wasn't. It was when we'd try to load it up from stock. I don't know if the turbos run at full speed at that, but I do remember when we got just outside of Longview, past Kilgore, and we just held it to the floor and drove all the way. It didn't get stopped.
2,500 pounds.
2,500 pounds. So 2,500 pound car with
175
horsepower.
The power to weight ratio is pretty good.
Yeah. Take that against a Grand National or a Corvette or any of those cars, Trans Am. That's a
Never had
go.
a Shelby Turbo, but boy, we did have the Bucky the stunt car. It was a Colt GTS twin stick turbo. And that car could beat, we thought, anybody off a stoplight, and it kind of could. And it could also spin amazingly well with the emergency brake.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Mike. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Mike, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I got a 2017 Silverado 1500 5.3. Got about 150,000 miles on it. I had it out the other day and turned it off. Drove about, 10 miles from my house. Shut it off. Was doing some stuff with my hunting dog. Come back to the truck and turned the ignition and it just made a little click and that was it. Nothing. And I tried several times and it wouldn't do anything. Everything lit up, so I had plenty of battery. That's actually a fairly new battery in there. And I even tried my spare key because they have that kind of a weird square stem on the key. So I thought maybe there was something going on with that. And nothing. So called a buddy of mine, pulled it in to town, parked it at the repair shop. And I tried it again, just thinking, maybe I had a loose connection somewhere or whatever. And same thing, nothing. Well, then I went home, got another vehicle, went back to get some of my gear out of the pickup. And I thought, just for the heck of it, I'll try it. Turned ignition, it took right off. So now I'm worried I'm going to be out in the middle of nowhere somewhere and it's not going to start for me. And I just wondered you think what it might be. I checked all the connections as far as I could tell, everything was good. Is that possible? It could be a starter. Because I know in the old days when I had other Chevy pickups, sometimes the starter would get bad. I don't know if it was a flat spot or something with solenoid, but you'd get underneath, tap it with a hammer or something heavy, and sometimes it'd take off when starters were starting to get bad. So I'll just listen and see if you got any ideas.
Well, one thing about a starter, if it is the starter and it does it again, and you happen to have even a test light with you, it'd be the easiest thing to check. Because all you got to do is get down there and put a ground on the frame and see if you got power for the exciter wire. Power, you got a good 12 volts down there. Because if it's not starting and you don't have enough power, you can, or if you have full power, then the starter is the problem. It's doing everything it's supposed to do except for starting. But we get a number of those around here with parts vehicles we bring in and repairables that we've had. And I can't remember what it's called, but they have a device on the battery cable on those that seems to be a fail spot. It's like
shuts it off when the airbag goes.
Yeah, well, no, not that. We're talking about just
about?
regular vehicles. I think there's something in line on that truck in that era from like 14 to 18 that we've had problems with. And Russ is looking at me like I have not had that problem. I've had other problems, but it seems to me there's a. What are they? I just can't say the name of it right now.
Well, there is a cutoff that they use. So when the airbag is deployed, it opens up that power wire.
Yeah.
So the fire department doesn't have to cut it anymore because they were cutting all those cables. We don't see a lot of those anymore because they run they got a power cutoff in there. But they also measure the amperage draw on there. There's an amp meter built into that unit as well. But we don't see that. If you get a click, you usually have some power going that direction. It sounds like maybe your starter just failed. Even a good battery, new battery, can have problems. We had somebody the other day that called us and they said they'd put a battery in 6 months ago. Their truck wouldn't start. They pulled into a grocery store. It wouldn't start when they came out. Then they had somebody come jump it. It started. They drove it home. It shut off. It started right up. Started after sitting for about 2 weeks while they were out of town on vacation. And then it just wouldn't start after they drove it like an hour, shut it off, and it wouldn't start after sitting that long. He said, it can't be. Something would be on fire if it was drawing the battery that fast. It'd be a huge load like a stove coil. It would just get hot and melt. Turned out his battery was bad. When batteries start coming apart, those are the traditional lead acid batteries have plates in them And if anything fails on those and comes off and falls to the bottom, or if they get old and sulfate and that gets to the bottom, if whatever's in there is conductive and it touches the bottom of those plates, it can just kill that battery in a matter of an hour or less, sometimes very quickly, or if it's got a cracked plate. We've talked about our AGM batteries and our partner at Clarios that sells those, or that manufactures those. Those batteries, that's why you see these AGM batteries in so many things now, and it's why so many people are converting over when it's time to switch a battery, because they don't have that problem like the lead acid batteries have had in the past. But it's very possible that you've got a battery that has got an issue. I would say your top two items on that are going to be battery and starter, because you have a click. So I'm
the term I was trying to think of, Russ, was fusible link. And there's some sort of fusible link I thought that's different than an airbag cutoff, because I don't think GM used that in the pickups on some of those models from 14 to 19.
Mm-hmm. Fusible links, if you short, they're designed to open by themselves, whereas they have two different protections for vehicles now. The electronic one that opens when an airbag goes off, and then, of course, a fusible link which opens when there's a short above a certain amount of amperage. And if it was corroded, that could cause the problem. Wiggling the battery cable a little bit might get it to start.
Look and see if there's a device on that battery cable, too.
Mike, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. And we are going to be down in Scottsdale, Arizona in a couple weeks.
We are. We're going to be there October 9th through the 12th or whatever. But the day we're going to be there doing the show live, all you need to remember is we're going to be there October 11th on Friday. So at some point during that day, we're not sure the 100% exactly what the time will be, but we will be doing the show live. So when we do the show, if you're watching YouTube, that's where you'll see us. So now would be a good time. We've talked about subscribing and things like that before, and notifications. If you put them in there, remember, you can always turn them off. So you could go in there now, click notify and subscribe. You're probably going to get, you'll get a notification for next week when we do the show, and then when we're at Barrett Jackson. So those are the only two notifications you're going to get about this show between now and then, because I don't plan on posting anything else. So you're good. Don't worry about a ton of them like you get on some channels. Just go ahead and subscribe, hit notifications.
Wait a second.
Yes?
I know I said we're going to be there in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And Russ, you said we're just 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
But you just said now that next week will be normal, and then the week after that we'll be there?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound possible.
That's 2 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't sound, that sounds weird. That can't be.
So you will be able to call us like you call us now at our 866-594-4150, and you will be able to talk to us live while we're at the auction. So by all means, if you have auction questions about cars, things like that, that is when you should give us a call and talk to us.
I'll bid for a call or two if they want to.
You gladly
We got somebody on the phone.
He's really good about spending other people's money.
Yeah, for sure.
Virtual
Drive other people's cars, spend other people's
Unemotional.
money.
I don't do it. I don't bid emotionally when I'm with someone else's money.
No. We'll do some interviews while we're down there. We'll be talking to Craig Jackson. We'll hopefully be talking to the grandson of Carol Shelby, the big Shelby guy.
Just talked about that top of the show, kind of ironic.
Yep. There'll be lots of people to talk to down there. We'll be talking to our friends over at Berkeley One Classics and get a little handle on the collector car industry and things like that. And just a lot of fun stuff. There's so much going on there you can't imagine. So we'll be doing some separate podcasts. We'll be doing the regular podcast, which we'll put up early that week. And we'll be doing the YouTube, so you'll see the YouTube live feed.
I have one more note on the Omni.
Yeah.
The first Omni GLS weighed more than the first Charger, Shelby Charger GLHS.
Oh,
Omni weighed 2540, the first one. The first Charger GLHS weighed 2483. So the Omni was heavier than the Charger, the first iteration, and then in 87 the Charger becomes more heavy.
last week we were talking about the new Bronco Sport
Mm-hmm.
and how it is larger than like a 66 Bronco. And you said, except it's not as tall. You know why the reason it's not as tall? Look up ground clearance on both of those. I was going to have you do that this week. The ground clearance on a Sport Bronco is like this. The ground clearance on a 66 was like this. It's I'll bet now, not axle to ground because the differential to ground is different. I bet that is even higher, but on the original. But the body line, the bottom of the door of the body to the ground was so much higher on a 66 compared to the new one. We've got one of our Jake down here, sales guys. He's got one of those 66 Broncos sitting in the fort, and I was looking at that the last time I was in there thinking about that. It's like, you know what? That thing got a lot of ground clearance compared to those new ones.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Ralph. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Ralph, what can we do for you?
Got a 2000 Astrovan all-wheel drive, and the front brakes lock up, and put in a new master cylinder. And it must be the front brakes lock up solid.
Do they
Solid.
do it auto? Okay, a couple more questions. Let's zero in on this. You're driving the vehicle and you touch the brake pedal and they lock up solid, or are you just having random lockups? I'm assuming it's when you touch the brake pedal.
I drove it about 4 or 5 miles and took it to my friend's place. We're going to take it out for a little drive, and they locked up within a mile. So it was driven about 5 miles and it worked okay.
Are you on a paved surface or a gravel surface when this happens?
This was gravel, but they lock up solid.
So
And,
it was
to
locked
get
up.
it home, he opened up the lines and bled them and they were very, very hot
Where did he open them? At the wheels themselves?
at the wheels themselves on the,
Oh.
on the left side and the right side, and then we could drive it.
Okay. If you open them at the wheels, that is telling us that the calipers have the ability to move. They're not sticking. But when they get that hot, if they were super hot where they're burning your hands, they're going to need to be replaced because they'll get damaged. The seals and everything will damage inside, and the hoses will too. They'll start collapsing because of that heat. But if you open that caliper, you haven't checked anything getting to it. Where you should start when you have brakes locking up like that, you're going to have to get them to lock up and to be tight. Then you need to crack it open at the master cylinder. Start at the beginning of the system. If you crack it open at the master cylinder and they release, you've eliminated everything between the master cylinder and the brakes. You've eliminated the lines, you've eliminated the hoses, you've eliminated the calipers, you've eliminated the proportioning valve, you've eliminated the ABS module. All of it has been eliminated because you've loosened it up at the master cylinder and now they've released. That leaves us with a couple issues. Either we have a failed master cylinder or we have the incorrect master cylinder on the vehicle. And sometimes that can be hard to get. They had some letter code tags on the booster, and you would have to make sure you got the correct master cylinder to match that booster because the little rod that comes out in there could be too long on one versus another.
I just got to ask a quick question because that's something that we dealt with a lot. Is this all the original setup as far as you know on the brakes?
Yes, it's a one owner. I'm in the process of buying it, and it's one owner, 212,000 miles.
And it was both brakes that locked up on both sides?
In the front,
Yep.
only in the front. And we're thinking maybe proportion valve, but
No, that won't do
doesn't
it.
make sense either.
And no parts have been replaced on this brake system?
The new master cylinder,
But was that after the fact or was that before this problem?
right before, it was running very good. And to start with it all, the brakes were a little spongy.
Here's what you do before you take any lines loose. Get them to lock up, And then don't take any lines loose with the master cylinder. Take the 2 nuts loose that hold the master cylinder to the booster and see if they release. Just loosen them up about 1/4 inch. If it releases, it's got the wrong master cylinder on it, and it may have been boxed wrong. So just change that. That'd be my first step.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The number to reach us, 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Make a radio appointment each week to hear the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show.
866-594-4150. Don't forget, you can watch the show on our YouTube channel. If you subscribe to that, you'll get and do notifications. We'd appreciate that because we're going to be live in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you're going to want to see that.
At a different time.
Yeah.
But also, if you do that and join the Under the Hood Show fan club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Caleb Mulryan, congratulations from everybody here under the show. Like Caleb Mulryan, congratulations from everybody here at Under the Hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute, UTI.edu, and Berkeley One Classics celebrating 50 years of collector car coverage.
I was looking at, I was thinking about UTI yesterday because I was looking at CNC machines on Amazon.
Sure.
Just little ones, just the not big giant ones. And I thought if I bought like a $300 wood CNC machine for engraving wood, could I go to UTI? Would that be a good use just to do
to learn it?
It's Chris's cabin.
No.
Live, laugh, love.
I don't think that would be a good use of that.
No? All right.
If that was your only thing, your only plan,
yeah. I want to do.
I think you watch YouTube videos.
Fish fear me.
I think you watch YouTube videos.
All right.
The expense to what you get out of it ratio. Now, Chris, UTI. So let's say you hit the big jackpot, big Powerball or something. You got a lot of money and you're trying to figure out what to do with your days. Would you attend any schools?
No.
Little stuff.
No.
You couldn't have reacted faster.
No.
I don't mean for months.
No.
I'm talking about, would you
No.
take some classes?
Nope.
Would you go to UTI and say, hey, can I pay just to learn how to use this machine?
Nope.
You'd pay somebody else to make your cabin sign.
Yeah.
With your cabin.
Yeah.
Can you put a sign on the front door when I built my cabin?
Right. I'd have someone come and teach me to do it on my own. Like I'd hire them for like a year.
You'd have multiple apprentices show up at your place.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy!
Teach me how to cook a duck.
Exactly. Yeah.
Quack quack.
And then the next day, be like, you know what? You're better. Just you cook the duck. I think that's what I would do. Yeah.
No, that's where you go to learn it. If you're normal everyday people like us that haven't hit it big yet, UTI.edu.
Well, I can't leave this alone. You asked that question to Chris. I'm thinking the same thing. Would I go to any schools? My first thought is no, but apparently I'm thinking you are thinking yes, because you wouldn't ask the question otherwise.
I would love to drop in on a few courses on things. I don't want to spend. Especially if I got that much money, I'm not going to waste. Since I'm rich now, I'm not going to waste my time on full gears or anything like that. It's like I'm going to spend every day spending my money, right? But as a career, that's a good choice. You've got to set up, you got to figure out how to pay for the rest of your life. But when you got that much money, I would want to learn a few things. It would be neat to learn a few things. I would like to go to NASCAR Technical Institute, but not take the full courses. I'd like to drop in on I'd like to know the answer. Like, take me to the end. I'm going to come for 2 days. I want to see how this is done, just so I can say, yeah, I know how that's done. I know how they build that.
I can see that. Yeah. Now I get your point.
I don't want to build it myself. I just want to know how it's done. I want to watch it.
And I think that happens quite a bit when people have extra money. They can buy that privilege to come in and say, can you show me how this works?
Mine would be like, how does this Dragon capsule connect to the International Space Station?
I would do that too. I would head on down and say, hey, Elon, what would it take to...
Yeah, how can I...
Yeah, what can I donate to?
I want to check these things out. And probably if you're at that level now of income, it'd probably be like, just come on in. You can check it out.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Brad. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Brad, what can we do for you? Oh, hold on, Brad. I have to pay someone to answer the phones now, too. Okay, Brad, now you're on. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning, guys. I just was looking for an opinion on these aftermarket fuel injection units for an old Ford pickup I'm restoring.
For a 79 Ford pickup?
Yeah, I got a 79 F-250 crew cab four-wheel drive.
Shannon
Back in the day, I did this,
Had
but
a-
it was an 84.
truck.
Yeah.
Why do I know that?
Yeah, it was an 84.
Was it white?
Yes, it was. It was an 84 F-150, and it had a 351W unit that my good friend Jerry Ross had built the engine in it. And we put, with the help of Vern Werchus, we put a fuel injection system on it. It was a company that, can't say the name of it right now, but they mainly made them for motorhomes.
I know why I know.
Yep. And, this is Russ's crazy memories going into place here. But
Goes back from before I even met Shannon.
yeah,
That's
so
weird.
we did that, and the only problem is that they gave us a unit for a 302 instead of a 351.
It was a Holly projection.
I think it was a different brand. It was another brand that he was
The throttle
selling.
body one.
Yep, throttle body injection, and came down to it. Firing order was different between the 351 and 302, so it'd run at certain times okay, and other times, boy, we fought with that. But once we finally got it figured out, boy, that thing ran good. And now the technology and the available options has really refined. Holly Projections and others, I think Edelbrock makes one. I think,
MSD.
yeah, there are some great
We
systems
gave
out
away
there.
the MSD system here
Yeah,
on the
we
show
did,
like
didn't we?
15 years ago.
Gosh, I forgot about that, Russ.
That was pretty cool.
But I would, if you're going to make a nice truck and you want to make it drivable, I think it's a great option. What motor do you have?
It's got a 400 in it with a 4-speed, and I was looking. When I get done with this, I mean, I'm restoring it, but it's not going to be a show truck, even though the value of them they probably should be. It's going to be my daily driver. I've owned it since 1992, and I read articles where people talk about, or forums where just random things die, and then you're just sitting alongside the road. I don't know. Am I just hearing the bad ones, or
Yes.
yeah, those aren't quality units. I don't know that I've ever seen one quit if it was not damaged by either an electrical problem or something
Yeah.
shorted out or
Didn't get
somebody
it
broke it.
improper installation, or maybe they had something mounted near too much heat that they didn't get it shielded.
They're like the MSD units. Those are about bulletproof, and the Holly projection has been around forever.
A long time.
And that, if you just want something that's budget friendly, that would work on that truck, I'd say that would be a good one for you.
Yeah, those systems. You see a lot of those on cars that people street and drive all the time. Don't just take to car shows. They're the people that drive them. They want them to look somewhat original because they can still doctor up the air cleaner to look like the truck when you open the hood. It looks like the '79 Ford pickup when you open the hood. If you do it all right, you can set it up really good. I would recommend it if you're going to spend a little money on the truck to do that, for sure. If not, the new carburetors too. I mean, you go buy a nice one of these newer carburetors. They're very efficient and very, very smooth, but you do have a little more involved if you go to the projection. You got to get the fuel system set up with the pump, and the tank's got to have a return line sometimes put into it. But in that era of truck, I can't believe that stuff wouldn't all just be available, because there is so many people restoring it. I saw just a beautiful one on the road this week. I was out riding with one of our delivery drivers, and where was I at? Oh boy, I was at a beautiful new shop in Adrian, Minnesota, Adrian Auto. And they had one in there they were working on for a customer. I'll post a picture when I get a chance here on the Facebook page. Just a neat looking 73 to 79 truck. And they always catch my eye for sure, because when we started the business here at the salvage yard on the farm, my dad, he cut his teeth fixing 73 to 79 Ford pickups, a lot of them that were wrecked. And so we had numerous ones that we drove as kids, rode in. It was always kind of a staple around our place. So they do catch my eye, that's for sure.
Does that help you out there, Brad?
Yeah, I'm not looking for power or anything. I just drivability.
Drivability is exactly what you want.
Want the throttle body then?
Brad, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Kelly. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Kelly, what can we do for you?
I've got a 2011 Ford Super Duty diesel, and lately my it shifts real hard going between first and second. Transmission seems good and everything yet as far as pulling, but what would that be? It really, like if you're slow and on cement or a pavement, it really slams between first and second gear.
Just the one gear, not the other gears at all.
Yep, nope, it's only them. It's only there, because really notice it when you're in town and leaving a parking lot or something.
Well, our first step would be to look at a scanner, look at the data on the scanner to see what the transmission's doing. That's going to be the most important thing. We need to see what the throttle position input is to it, what pressures are being commanded in the transmission. It's probably it's shifting that hard because the pressures are very high in between those gears. And what can be happening is the first to second may be fine. Those gears may be fine, but you may have another gear, any of the other higher gears that are failing. So they're slipping. And what is being done is that the control module is turning up the pressure in that transmission to prevent the slip in the failed gears, which is giving you a hard shift in the good gears. Because they've got to, otherwise you'd have a smooth shift 1 to 2, and then you'd have a flare and a slip 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and such. So that could be what's happening, but that can be found by reading the data. You'll probably have no codes unless it gets really bad.
Do you have any codes?
No, and it's been fine. It's been that way for a little bit, and it gets pulled. It does a lot of just driving or whatever, but when it does get a trailer on it gets pulled hard, and it seems strong. So
how many miles are on the truck? How many miles are on the truck?
It's only like 111,000, and I've done all the good, serviced it and good, or the transmission and stuff. The fluids were fine. Everything. So
they don't have a lot of problems with transmissions in these. We put very few of them in at our shop, but they can fail, and they can have issues inside from external controls. So it may even need a software reprogram. That's where somebody that can really read the data is going to be important. Where somebody's driving and somebody's reading that data as it's being driven, and even maybe recording it and playing it back while they're sitting in the shop looking at it on their computer to see what's going on. Why is that transmission commanding a high pressure shift between 1 and 2? Does it think it has more throttle input? Maybe it does. It might be thinking that. How does it do if you put a trailer on it and you try to accelerate and it's a pretty hard trailer? Does it shift normal then?
Well, yeah, it does seem like that's when you don't notice it.
Yep, that's what I was thinking, because you're under a load. It's increased the pressure in all the gears. That tells me that it's probably not slipping in the other gears if they're all smooth when you're putting a good load on it. But at the light speed, it's shifting harder. It might need a reflash. It might just be because of normal wear in the transmission. It's to the point where it needs to be flashed, to be updated, to know what's going on.
Kelly, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150.
The point of that last call, though, is that, like we've talked about before, he does not have a check engine light on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You put a typical scanner on that at a parts store, where they do the free scan, you're not going to see anything. But when you get a true diagnostic technician that can hook the graphing meters up to it and really look at it as it's going, that's when you start to see these things. So that's like another level. And if he can find somebody like that, and a lot of transmission shops will offer a service, it's not for free anymore, hardly ever, but they'll check it out. And then at that point, they have the equipment to check that. I know Russ, he has the equipment to check that, but not everybody does that.
Sure.
So it's just you got to find that.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Jeremy. He's up next on the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150.
Car feeling ill? Don't want to spread it to your wallet? Call the Motor Medics now for free advice.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Jeremy. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Jeremy, what can we do for you?
I got a Silverado 2019 with 5.3. When it's at idle, it's got a little, like a squirrel cage squeak to it. I just wondering where I start looking.
Where is the squeak coming from area? Do you know?
The engine.
What part?
It's
Which
like
area?
a squirrel cage sound. What's that?
Which area?
Oh, the front of the engine.
Front?
Like the belt area, yep.
Well, you got a couple things going on up there. I would pull the belt off and start the engine, see if the noise goes away. Just start it, run it for a minute or so, and see if the noise is gone. If it is, then we check all the pulleys. We spin them all by hand and see which one of them is doing it. A lot of times it's an idler pulley that's starting to go bad. And when they
Are you able to pin, if you were listening to it, would you be able to get much closer?
Oh,
and
yeah.
figure-
Yeah, we determined is it in the belt area? Should we be taking a belt off? Is it in the valve train? Because it could be, cam lifter issue, rockers.
That's the worst case scenario.
So we want to narrow it down, and then we'll just pull the belt off and see if the squeak goes away. So if it goes away, we know for a fact it's got to be in the outside drive.
If you take the belt off and you still have the squeak, that's when you go, oh.
Then it's a big problem, and it can happen. But if it's in that belt drive, so they sell a whole kit. Gates sells a kit for it, and it comes with the idler pulley, the tensioner pulley, the belt, all of it. And the reason they sell it as a kit is the same reason they sell timing belt kits with all the drive components, is because something fails, it's going to take out the belt, or it's going to give you a problem. A lot of people put a new belt on thinking they're going to fix a squeak, and it doesn't fix it because the tensioner was the problem. And it may be that it goes away for a week and comes back, and then you're disappointed. You're like, what happened? I put a belt on it. It must be a defective belt. So you bring the belt back. You get another one. They send it back to Gates, and Gates says, we see the problem. We just examined this, and the tensioners, it's got a bad tensioner. It's got a bad idler, and it's wearing on the belt. So there's nothing wrong with his belt. And then they go back to the vendor and say, we're not giving you credit for that. And they're like, oh, so they're trying to push to be more proactive on this and say, look, if you need a belt and it's got 100,000 miles on it, it's time for a whole kit, they're usually not that much more expensive. You buy them together and you save some money instead of buying the components separately. But like I said, it's like when you do brake pads and rotors, you got to do the pads and the rotors, or they have to be turned, and nobody's turning them anymore. Otherwise, they'll squeak. If you put new pads on old rotors, they'll squeak. You put new rotors on with old pads, they're going to squeak. You've got to put them in together so they break in together.
Because you can get that tensioner can be, it bounces up and down while the vehicle's moving. If it gets a little bit of wear in the hub on that tensioner,
sideways.
Yep, it can just sit there. It can make the belt run true, and also that tensioner can just sit there and chirp, as it's bouncing up and down because it's got a little problem inside the hub of it where the tension's at too. So multiple things there for sure. Russ, the other reason why a lot of manufacturers do those kits is they can make more money and they sell less parts and they have a higher average ticket.
Yep.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So instead of having, 9 SKUs that they got to manage, they put that all into one and they get a higher average ticket. Everybody can be a little more profitable when they handle it. So the time versus money can be translated better instead of having, oh, now I need this, now I need that. Well, can you just buy it all at once?
And less repair.
Right.
Yeah, so it's in the long run, it makes everybody smile a little bit.
Does that help you out there, Jeremy?
I think so, yeah. Thanks. I'll start with taking the belt off.
There you go. Thanks very much for the call.
The only person that doesn't smile is the person that has to write the check for all of it at once.
Right. Yeah. Which seems to be their goal. I mean, no one seems to worry about that too much until it becomes past the tipping point.
Right. But it is a solution. You have replaced the components that wear and that we know wear. So it's a good thing. Like, who anymore, Russ, unless you're doing it yourself and your labor is free, who would take a front of an engine apart and not put a timing kit in?
I don't know.
I mean, if you're doing something yourself and you like beating yourself up, maybe. But
a
otherwise,
belt or a chain or anything. Yeah.
That's why when they started making the kits, it was like a no-brainer because they made the prices competitive. You're already spending, hundreds of dollars on labor every hour, and you're there. Replace the parts.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Luke. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Luke, what can we do for you?
Hey, I've got a 2005 Buick Rendezvous. I keep getting all-wheel drive disabled, traction control disabled. My scan tool only shows wheel speed sensors. I replaced both wheel hub assemblies with the wheel sensors in them, and I'm still getting all of that traction control stuff.
You replaced all 4 of the wheel speed sensors, the hubs, front and rear? Yeah, because if any of those are bad or the wires that plug into them are bad, you're going to get this code. Also, if you have a problem with that rear differential on that, you'll get this code. Something in there is causing it. Are there any codes in the system for sensors?
The only codes that pop up are front right, front left wheel.
Well, there you go. If you've put new hubs on it and new sensors, you've done that, right? In the front?
Yep.
Yeah, if you've done that, look at the wire that goes between the hub and up to the top of the body. It moves when the struts move, and they sell that wire. DormanProducts.com sells those. That wire will break because of the twisting that goes on with that strut moving, and then you'll lose the connection between those front hubs and the body. We put those on lots of cars. The Grand Prix, the Rendezvous, those were the worst ones out of all of them for the wires breaking in those. So to verify it, you could just get a multimeter and plug in up at the top at the body end and then drive it and watch the signal. And if the signal goes away as you hit bumps and turn the wheel back and forth, you definitely have a break in that wire going down there. But the wires aren't that expensive.
And if those signals aren't working, you're going to get all those sensors. Also, if you had a steering angle sensor at the bottom of the steering column, if it was equipped, can do that. A throttle valve or throttle body that's acting up, if it we could do that. But since you have those codes, that sure seems like the area to zoom in on for sure.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe it would have been the modulator for the ABS.
Not usually showing both wheel speed sensors not working on the front. It's usually not receiving a signal when you get those codes that you have. When the ABS module fails, usually you'll get a failure code inside, like a relay code or a solenoid code or something, inlet valve, outlet valve. Whether you get a speed sensor failure like that, it's almost always a actual loss of signal in the front from the bearing coming up into the body there.
Luke, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the End of the Hood Show. You saw an amazing you reacted once when Russ gave some advice earlier.
I did.
That's a great idea.
When the guy had the vehicle, that Astrovan, that the brakes were locking up, that's to have two brakes locking up is like unusual. And so I did not catch in the call that he had just replaced the master cylinder because Russ was going down that road, and that's why I kind of circled back to say, is this all original or what is this, And then he had said he'd replace that master cylinder, and Russ's solution was so simple, it was brilliant. But if that is the wrong code on the master cylinder, the difference is the length of the push rod basically that's between the pedal and the master cylinder through the booster. If you loosen those bolts up just a little bit and the brakes loosen up, it's so easy. And it's so quick and easy to get at those two bolts. I mean, you could find that out with 2
minutes.
Yeah. So simple.
That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Hour 2 is coming up. 866-594-4150. The Under the Hood Show is brought to you by Sturdivant's.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. Join the Motor Medics for fun and free automotive advice with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. While the music was fired up there, we had a call come in from Mississippi, so we want to get to that and talk to Terry. Hi, Terry. You're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Got a little slight problem. I got a 2017 F-150 electric rendered. It's crew cab. Right back window won't let up from the switch on the right back door. I think it's a fuse. I'm not sure, but I don't know what fuse to look at.
Yeah, the old school thinking that we all have, including me, is that let's find fuses. But these newer vehicles, did you say it was a 15 or a 17? 17. These newer vehicles, and 15 or 17 wouldn't have mattered. It's a similar system. They are like a computer network. And so you've got modules talking to each other. You've got lots going on. But at the end of the day, it can be simple. It can be wiring. It can be switches. But you know, Russ and the team, when they get one of these, you gotta do a little diagnostic work just to find out where you're at. Where would you start, Russ?
Well, I'll plug my scanner into it and read the body control module and look at the inputs and turn the switches on. Each one up and down, it should say window commanded up, window commanded down. Go from there. And I can use my scanner to roll the window up and down. If I can roll it up and down from the scanner, we got a problem in the switch or the wiring at the switch back there.
Okay.
If I can't, if I command it to go down and up and it won't move, then I've got more of a problem. I might have a problem with the motor.
So do you stand there in the shop and go, open sesame?
No.
That's not what you mean by commanding it?
Close sesame.
Oh,
Close, yeah.
Because
it's already open.
Oh,
won't go up.
I should have, my joke was slightly off.
Yeah.
But we don't see a lot of broken wires in those. Occasionally we do see them in the door jams, but not a lot of them.
Especially on a right rear door. But if it was the driver's door,
no, it'd be in the back. Usually when we see broken wires in those, it's usually in the rear door jams
because they're not used as much.
No, they sell the little harness for it.
Really?
Ford sells a little.
My conventional wisdom was not working very conventionally there.
We've replaced a few of them. Ford sells the part, so if we find out that we've got a break in the wiring, it's possible from the switch that it runs from the switch, runs up front. So if we've got a break in that wiring, you could do it.
Is there anything he could do himself other than visual inspection of the wires?
Pull that boot loose in the door to visually inspect it. That's okay.
Or maybe just go back there and grab that little boot and just wiggle it around. And
very little, because the wire is probably completely off inside. So you'll have to pull the cover back and look and see if it's pulled out of one of the ends where it's not repairable.
Out of the socket, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to get it up and leave it up instead of leaving it down?
Just pull the door panel off and apply power to the motor.
Directly to the motor, not to any of the modules or anything like that. Go directly to the motor.
Got to unplug that motor and hook up power. If it goes one way, you reverse the wires and it goes the other way and you roll it up.
Because at the end of the day, that is still a 12-volt electric motor.
But it does work from the driver's side switch, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Then just push the button on the driver's door. Yeah, if you've lost it just from one door, only one door, right? Both back doors, one of them works, one of them does not?
Yeah, the right one is the only one that doesn't work.
Okay, good. Then it's not the safety switch for child lock. So, if you've got just one that won't go up from that switch, usually either the switch is bad or the wiring harness in that door, that jumper harness is bad. That's what we've seen. We haven't put a switch in one yet, but we have put jumper harnesses in a number of them.
So this window works from the driver's door?
Yep. Yeah, you can roll it up and down, just not in the back. So if a passenger's back there, they can't roll it up. They can only go down.
And you asked another really good question about whether it was both of them or not, because there's a number of people that just don't realize that they have a child lock button on their driver's door control panel. Yep. And they hit that messing around thinking they're trying to adjust the mirrors because they're always right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then they lock the windows, and I've done it.
What you might try, too, is when you pull the switch up to roll that window up on that door, pull it up and then push down on it, wiggle it around a little bit so you're pushing it down to make more contact. Push down on the backside as you're pulling the front side of it up, and if the window goes up, you've got a switch that's bad. What'll happen is if the door's open and it rains or snows in that door, moisture gets down in the switch and it corrodes it and it kills the switch. And if you push on it, you can get a little bit of contact and get it to move.
I'm trying. I don't think it's broken. I just think it doesn't work for the door. I don't know that I would pursue that fix.
Terry, do you have a lot of passengers?
No, I've got grandkids. That's the reason why I got to get sick. My boss done told me.
Because I'm thinking what Chris said. You know, if there's not a lot of people in that back seat, it's not broken.
Right. And if you're, Terry, good luck. That is, I admire someone who fixes a problem that is not completely broken.
Because it's the difference is, hey, Grandpa, roll the window down.
Yeah.
And Grandpa, I can't roll the window down.
Right. Or, hey, don't roll the window down. It doesn't work from back there. So
I'll roll it up for you.
I'll roll it up.
I think it encourages conversation between the family.
What should we call it? You're not rolling the window down anymore. There's no roll on it. So if we had to come up with a term, what should we just say? Put the window down, put the window up?
Buzz it up, buzz it down.
Command the window down?
I think put the window down.
Put it.
I can't put my windows down. I can't put my windows up because you're putting it down if you push the button down. You're not saying window, you're an ugly window. You're a horrible window. No, it's putting it down because we don't roll them anymore.
Sliding the window up? No, I'm not sliding it.
And did we ever
It is
roll,
sliding, though, in the track.
Did we ever roll up a window? Because the window wasn't...
Cranked it.
The rollers inside... Yeah, we were cranking the window up. The rollers inside were doing the rolling. Now we don't have rollers.
And
we have a cable.
We're still
and a
cranking
motor.
it.
We could do an hour on this and not agree.
Are there more windows or doors in the world? Oh, it's that type of thing.
We could crank... Even when we were, now we're still cranking it. We're just cranking it electrically, right?
We're not cranking it
But
because
doesn't
the electric motor is turning. There's a gear in there, and that gear is turning a cable and pulling the cable. So
we're powering the window up and we're powering the window down.
The cable pulls the window up and it lowers the window down.
But on the motor, wouldn't the thing that's turning still be the crankshaft?
Nope.
Okay. All right. That's a good question. This is
the kind of stuff you like, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Terry, good luck. Thanks very much for the call. You've just sidetracked me for a week. That's all I'm going to be thinking about. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. Mark, you're up next.
Get your planner out right now and schedule your next radio appointment with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Mark. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Mark, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I was on vacation traveling to other states, and I saw some cheap gas advertised. It turns out it was 15% ethanol, 88 octane. I have a 2019 Nissan Altima, and that type of gas isn't available in my area, but I like the price of it, so I wasn't sure if I should use it or not. I think I had about 4 gallons left in my tank, and I only added 6 in case I shouldn't be doing it. But so I wondered if I was all right doing that, or if I should avoid that completely.
Well, if you added 6 and you think you had about 4 in there, you may have had a little more, you may have had a little less. So if you put 15% in on top of the standard 10%, you're probably more than likely 12% in there, maybe 13%, somewhere. It's 12 to 13, which is still 100% fine because that car, going back to 2001, every single car on the road today that is gasoline powered is certified and rated to run E15 fuel. It's been federally certified for perfectly normal, fine, doesn't affect anything use in every car, 2001 and up. So yours definitely would be fine. I see people all the time that are telling me they're running E30 in cars like yours, and they're having zero issues with it. They've been doing it for a couple 100,000 miles, not having issues. So if you are running, but it's not certified for 30, but if you're running, 15%, that's what it's made for. That's why they've gone to the pumps that say 88. I'm not sure what the thought was on that at first. They did have a bunch of them labeled E15 and E10, and I know their sales weren't great on the 15 because they were labeled 15 and people had questions. Even though it was cheaper in most cases, some of them it's more money, which is completely wrong. If somebody's selling E15 for more than 10, you're not being treated fairly because the cost of the ethanol was cheaper. But when it is cheaper, a lot of people just said, no, I don't want to, I don't want to run it. But when they started labeling it as E88, and over there in the fine print, you could see that it said 15% content, their sales went way up. And then down the road, when people started catching on to that, they said, oh, well, that's 15. Well, how long have you been running it? Oh, 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. Well, what were the problems? Well, I didn't have any. There you go. Proved our point. You're good to go. So you should not have any problem in that car running 15 every day of the week, or 10, or what they claim is 0. If it really is 0, it's going to have some additive of some kind in it, whether it's ethanol or some other chemical. It's going to be something. But you're fine with 15 in this car. Whatever's cheapest. Now look for top tier fuel, because that's going to be the cleanest fuel you can purchase. But as far as the ethanol content goes, you're fine.
Does that help you out there, Mark?
Yeah, that's good education. Thank you very much.
There you go. Thanks. That is an issue, and this is very typical. Just someone going to the pump and going, "Oh, I don't know what this necessarily means for my vehicle," and it's super common, but it still is a learning curve for people.
I got to start doing some more videos, and I'm going to do them, more of them, when I finish my project. But I was looking at, so I've got some 100% non-ethanol gasoline that's about 10 years old, and I just got rid of it this last weekend, and it smelled old.
Yeah.
Like a little like turpentine. What I noticed about it, so it's in a glass jar. You're not supposed to have those, but you can have those at home. If you have them at home, I don't think there's
a lot of things you can have at home that people don't know about.
Gas police aren't probably coming for you. So
was it in the garage or like in the cupboard?
In a shop, okay. Yeah, but not in our shop. It's like a home shop.
Russ, it's Russ. It was in the fridge.
Will it last longer in the fridge?
I don't know. There's another question.
So, mason jar with a screw-on lid, so that it had air getting in there.
I have so many questions. I have so many questions.
It was the metal lids. They come with the seals.
No, that's not the question, Russ.
Why was the air?
Why was the gas in a mason jar?
Yeah, what?
I had taken it out of a jet ski, so it was premium non-ethanol
I knew it
fuel.
would make sense, but I couldn't
and
think
I was
of anything.
looking for contamination in it, and it got set up there. Well, this jar,
that's what everybody does.
This jar that had the mason jar lid on it, but it didn't seal, so it could get moisture in it. This jar containing no ethanol had water in the bottom of it.
Oh, it wasn't the ethanol pulling the water into it?
No. So here's my thought. I said, here's a jar with no ethanol in it, and you're talking about small engines and getting moisture, and it's all this phase separation, all this crap you hear, which is wrong about ethanol, and it's pulling it in. That moisture got in there just because it got in there. The gasoline absorbed it. But where did it go? It went to the bottom because it could not mix with it. So I thought, what happens every single time with a jar that has ethanol in it when you intentionally put water in it because we want the water to be attracted to the ethanol so we could shake it up, let it settle out over an hour or so, and determine what the percentage of ethanol is in the fuel. That's how we test it to know if somebody put E85 in a vehicle, and that's why it's running poorly. That's not a flex fuel. So I said, well, what happens if I shake this jar up It just hit me. I said, I'm going to shake this up because I know for a fact it's 100% gas. I shook it up. The water went around in circles, and where did it go? Right back to the bottom. I shook it up again as hard as I could, put it back, and gas leaked all over my hand because, like I said, the lid wasn't solid. So then I wiped my hand off and said, well, there's a gas cancer. And it just sat there. The water never was absorbed. But if there was ethanol in that, me operating that engine and it vibrating and moving it, or if it was in a car or motorcycle or boat, whatever, it would have absorbed the moisture and burned it just fine.
like when you put heat.
Because what is that? It's alcohol. That's what you're pouring in your tank. You're basically pouring alcohol in your tank, like ethanol, to try to absorb that moisture that was already in there. It's funny how that operates.
Depends on what story you want to tell.
That's a good.
You've got to try these things yourself, or you won't know what happens.
That's what you're for.
There you go. That's what I'm for.
If you ever wonder, that's a good example of listening. I'm listening to this radio show, and these guys talk, and what kind of guy has given me this advice? Russ is a guy who pulls gas out of a jet ski, puts it in a gas or a glass jar to see what the contaminants are in the gasoline. So that's a guy that is going the extra mile to. When's the last time you checked the contaminants in a recreational or?
It was running bad, so I thought I had crap in the fuel.
Shannon, when's the last time you checked visually your gas to see if it was?
Last night.
No, it is not. No, you didn't.
Don't believe me then.
What? Give me the circumstances.
Cleaning up a rental house.
Okay.
There's a pressure washer that I acquired as part of the deal. It's been sitting for a long, long time, and there was no gas in it. There was also a gas can nearby that had gas in it, was not sealed. And so I took it down to our salvage facility, and I was in the area where we drained the fuel. We got a system there for fuel, and I took the gas out of the gas can, and I inspected it before I put it in there, and I'm glad I didn't because it was really, really gross. And so I inspected fuel last night at about probably 9:45 p.m. Central Time.
Well, I guess.
And there you go.
Wow, you got a cut that surprises
and
me.
then I got fresh gas, and I poured it into the pressure washer because I'm thinking, let's see if this baby will fire up. And I knew I was going to have a big project ahead of me because I need to get busy with this project. So I filled the tank instead of just putting a little bit in. That was a mistake because it was running right out of the carburetor and I had a full little tank in my Craftsman pressure washer that I just acquired. So I need to rebuild the carburetor or get one off Amazon and replace it.
Just buy one.
In the pressure washer?
Yeah, gas-powered pressure washer.
All right.
Little like 5 or 6 horsepower Craftsman pressure washer.
Do you repair that or do you just get rid of it?
No.
No. You fix it.
It's like, it's in good shape. The guy had just bought it, but it's been sitting with fuel in it. And so I could take it apart and there's only so many pieces in there. If it's not too corroded up, you could put new.
When you get these small engines, we've learned that a lot of these little Chinese made carburation
This is
systems
a Craftsman. It's not Chinese.
Definitely Chinese.
Whoa.
You just buy a carburetor. So these people with scooters and stuff, when you see scooter repair shops, they're not rebuilding those carburetors. They're going to Amazon. They're buying a carburetor for $35-$40 and putting it on. Those are the expensive ones. We had to put one on our four-wheeler, and I think it was $18.95. $18. I was like, I'm putting a carburetor on. I just bought a carburetor and stuck it on.
Yeah, so I'll have to, when I get some more time, I push the pressure off to the side. I'll bring my own personal one that I got at home, and I'll have to see if there's a number on it or something or model number. But it is quite amazing nowadays when you're doing repairs, the resources that are at your fingertips on your phone to figure something out. I mean, I'm thinking if I could see enough of the carburetor, I could probably take my phone and take a picture of it and use Google Lens and probably match it somewhere on the internet and then start looking at part numbers to see if it matches up with my make and model.
You know what's coming next? You're just going to take the picture and it's automatically going to start popping up with things. It's like, do you want to buy this? Where can you find it? Like, come on, really? I'll take a picture of Chris, and it's going to say, Under the Hood Show hats. What? Oh, come on.
Take a picture of somebody and it says, call the authorities.
Your high blood pressure.
Call the authorities.
It'd be great if it came up with our phone number. Call the show.
911.
It
comes up on your phone.
Take a picture of me and the phone goes, oof. He's really let himself go there. 866-594-4150. Producer Doug, real quick, when's the last time you've inspected gasoline from anything you've owned? Yeah, me too.
was the Model T, wasn't it? Yeah.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Prepare to learn something. You're going under the hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Don't forget, you can watch the show when we do it on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. You can watch it live or watch the feed of the live show when we do it. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and join the Hoodie Fan Club at UnderTheHoodShow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Wayne South. Congratulations from everybody under the hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute and Berkeley One Classics, celebrating 50 years of collector car coverage.
866-594-4150. Let's go to Kansas and talk to Dennis. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Dennis, what can we do for you? Oh, I got to do this again. Hi, Dennis. Go ahead. Sorry, start over.
Okay, I got a 2012 Jeep Wrangler with a 3.6, and it's got a rough idle to it. It sounds like the old 327 with the mild cam. It'll rumble, bum, 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 like that, off and on. We've replaced the catalytic converters twice, a set of lifters, the timing chain guides. Of course, we put in the oil gallery, oil filter thing, the housing, and plugs, the boots, and it still does it intermittently.
Has anybody done a leak down test on the cylinders?
I don't think so. That's the only. They've tried about everything else.
When it's running bad.
And it don't do it. I carry mail with it, and I'll pull up to one box, and it'll do it, and then I'll pull up to the next couple boxes, and it won't. And then it'll do it again. It's very intermittent.
How many miles are on it? I'm guessing quite a few with the route, or is it low mileage and a lot of idling?
Well, what I call it low miles. It's 158,000.
I mean, for your career, if you're a rural mail carrier, that is low miles. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and
I've got two of the old Jeep Cherokees with the 4 liters in them, and one's got 530, and the other's got 340, and they just purr like kittens.
We get a clap for that.
And it just frustrates me. We can't find this out what it is. If it's something simple or it's something.
You could have a valve guide or a valve problem in the head, and the valve is moving, rotating, hitting different spots where it seals, doesn't seal, and then you'll go in and out of compression on your power strokes, and that can cause that intermittent rough idle. I hate to say this, but those 3.6 liters, a lot of them could have, I'm not saying they all did, have problems with the heads and the valves. I had a 2017 that I had to replace the head on, or they couldn't get a head, so they put a whole motor in it, but it was only 20,000 miles on it in a Wrangler.
Right.
And so, have you ever fouled any plugs or anything on any of those cylinders?
Yeah. Yeah, we put in all new plugs and all new boots.
No, but have you ever...
And it won't throw a check.
Have you ever fouled a plug? Have you ever looked at the plugs when you replaced them? How'd they all look?
No, I haven't really looked close. I have a mechanic that does all this stuff, and with all the tech and all that.
I wouldn't put any more parts on it until I check cylinder health with a leak down test.
Okay.
And it has to be doing it. Does it have to be doing it at the time?
When you check it, it has to be running bad. So what they're going to have to do is running bad. They pull the plug. They do the leak down test. They put the plug back in and immediately start it up. Make sure it's still running bad. Because if they pull it when it's running bad, they do a leak down test. And you put the plug back in, it's running good again. Maybe your test passed.
Right.
So you're looking a moving valve or valve guide is a very difficult thing to find.
They're difficult.
But when you've done everything
Now-
else, and if you've got a good tech helping you that can watch the data, take it out
Yeah,
for a run like you would on the route, he could maybe in 15 minutes simulate your problem with his meter hooked up, and
Okay.
they can see
All
what's
right.
going on with the electronics. They'll be able to tell what's working and what's not
Well,
for the most part.
They showed before, they thought it was with that rumble, they were showing like the cams or whatever. One was showing 4 degrees different than the other side. One was like 4 and one was like 9. So they thought that was offsetting back and forth. So
Yeah.
they checked all that, but it was just them cam idlers were completely shot and fell down
Okay.
below.
So it's still running
So-
rough, even though when it's running rough now, those still show that they're in time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
that's good. Then we've got to look. I'm leaning towards Shannon. I'm thinking a valve issue.
Okay.
They can be problematic. I've got one right now with a brand new, it's remanufactured engine in it. Just put it in, started up, had misfire codes. Did the whole thing, got down, leaked down. We got 2 cylinders, number 2 and number 4, that are low. Like they got like 60% leak down. Like, let's pull the cover off. We'll see what's going on. Everything looked good. So we crammed some air in there directly, and I got my dead blow hammer.
Mm-hmm.
My small one, not the big
Right.
one.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
I got a big one. You should check it out. It's like 3 foot. Oh, big.
I have 3 different sizes now. Go ahead.
So I gave it a smack. Boonk. Hit the valves on both of them. Went down to like 3% leakage. Like, this is good. They're sealed up. Check compression was good. Put spark plugs back in it. Put the valve cover on it. Coils. Fired it up. Ran perfect for about a minute. Then
Okay.
started missing again. We're like,
Oh.
what? So we did it again. Ran perfect for 4 or 5 minutes. Pulled it out. Running bad again. So we'll try it one more time, and if that doesn't seal up,
They
I'm
got
going to have
something wrong
to
in the
call
valve train.
and get another engine. Well, it's got a bad head. They've got a problem with so those valves rotate, like Shannon said, so they don't wear one groove. They got a rotator on them. They continuously go around circles, and if you got a bad spot, it won't seal, and it'll stop sometimes where it's like a record, Chris, that's scratched.
Mhm.
There's a great example.
Goes around playing your Prince 1999 album, and it hits that scratch, and then it goes, and it never goes past it. If it went past it, you could probably live with the scratch because you go, okay, 5 seconds of
Right.
it'll move, but it never does. It's stuck. The valve's rotating. When it hits the bad spot, it doesn't go. It doesn't go.
Good analogy. Dennis, hold on a second. I'm going to put you on hold. Doug, will you check with Dennis and find out? I want to know the total miles on his vehicles. I think that would be a fun stat.
Oh, of
to
all
get.
his vehicles
Yeah.
together
I'm
that
gonna
he
put-
currently owns.
Yeah, I'm going to put you on hold. And then maybe get the number of vehicles so we have like an average. Because that 3 vehicles there, he's almost at 1 million.
Yeah.
Not quite. I didn't quite catch the second Cherokee, but I'm curious. It's a stat I'd like to know. How many? And like on my own, I can find this out on my own vehicles, obviously, because they're my vehicles. I want to find out how my total mileage on the vehicles that are on the road. This doesn't count cars that are in storage or aren't running. This is drivable vehicles
being used on a regular basis.
I think so,
got
because
you.
I was thinking
I don't-
about. I was thinking about your Trans Am that you posted about that just has like 1,500 miles on it. I don't know if that makes your list. I don't know
Doug's
if I
looking at us.
get to count on.
He has no idea what question to ask.
1.2 million. Okay.
Oh my goodness!
All right.
Oh, it's
There-
right up there. I'm
it's
looking
right
at
there.
Doug, going, "What? It's
Yeah.
up there."
One.
I like it.
Okay. All right. There. Dennis is the leader today with 1.2 million. There we
That's
go.
Awesome.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Kevin. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Kevin, what can we do for you?
I own a 2006 Chevy Duramax diesel. We're having a problem with the transfer case output seal. We're on our 3rd one and it's still leaking yet. We get them from the dealer and everything, and we keep on we get them from the dealer. And my son is a mechanic for the Army and everything, and we still have the problem. It's still leaking.
Not the seal. So
It's not the seal.
no, we're not when you go through. If you put 2 a minute, it still leaks. It's not the seal, and it's probably not the installation
Okay.
of it either, because you would know after the first one if something was damaged. So We've had this before on multiple vehicles. Two things that will cause this.
Okay.
If it's not the seal. Either the drive shaft has a groove worn in it because it's been riding on the seal for a long time and it just cheap metals and it wore a groove in it, so it's sitting right where the groove is and it leaks. That's one we see. If you do not see any groove in that drive shaft and you got a brand new seal, you need to put the drive shaft in the end of the transmission without the seal in it and move it up and down and see how far it moves. Because if the bushing in the rear of that transfer case cover is worn out and it moves up and down more than the end plate should be, you can take, if you're looking at a seal, it's got a lip in there and a spring. Well, if you put that down over that drive shaft with the drive shaft out of the vehicle, and then you force the seal to the side while you're holding the drive shaft in one place, what's going to happen? You're going to get an air gap in there and oil's going to come through it, or air or water, whatever you put in there, because you're pushing it to the side. If it's in the rear of the transfer case and the bushing's bad and it can move up and down as you step on the gas and let off, it's going to get a gap in there, air gap, and it's going to let oil pass through and water pass in. So that bushing's got to be good.
Is that bushing pretty hard? To replace?
Well, you're going to have to take the cover off to replace it. You got to take the rear half of the transfer case off, or if it's a bolt-on extension housing, you got to unbolt it and take the whole thing off, and then it has to be driven out with a bushing remover and put back in with a bushing installer. So what I would suggest is if it is the bolt-on, depending on the model of the transfer case, if it's a bolt-on extension housing, take the extension housing off, carry it down to your favorite local transmission shop and say, put a new bushing in this for me, okay? And they'll say, okay, it'll be this much, and they'll put a new bushing in it. Then you bring it home and you're fixed. It's got to either be the bushing that's loose, and it probably is, or the drive shaft has a groove worn in it. But if he's a military mechanic, he's used to looking at drive shafts and things like that. He should know, hey, there's a groove in this. That's our problem. Because after the first seal, you're not going to ignore that. You're going to be looking for something. Is it rough? Is it rusted? Is it got a groove in it? We got to figure out what's going on there.
Kevin, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Be sure to visit our website for news, contests, and previous shows at underthehoodshow.com. Welcome back, everybody. It's time to get back under the hood with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Ken. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Ken, what can we do for you?
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I've got a 2014 GMC Sierra half-ton pickup, and I bought it, I guess, about a year and a half ago, and just noticed at that time, like sometimes when I'd be getting on the interstate or kind of, getting on the gas a little bit, it would sound, it would rumble, sound like I was going across rumble strips. It was just kind of weird, and but then it also had a miss, and sometimes it'd go away and then it'd come back. But over the last, like I said, year and a half, it's gotten worse and worse. Sometimes just going down the interstate, maybe have a little bit of maybe going at a little incline, it'll brrr, just sound like I'm going across, or feel like I'm going across rumble strips. And then of course it's got that miss.
Miss at idle when you're stopped?
No.
So it feels like a miss.
Right. There's a miss, but then you've got that sound that's just kind of, it'll brrr, and then it'll go off, and then it'll come back again, every 3-4 seconds.
Have you paid close enough attention to your gauges when it happens to see if your tack jumps just a little bit?
I have not.
Pay close attention when it happens the next time, and just glance down at your tack and see if your tack rises 100 to 200 RPMs when it happens.
Okay.
Because a lot of people have experienced what they call rumble stripping, and I had it happen in a truck of mine with a different transmission, but GM's had this happen in other transmissions, where the torque converter will slip just a little bit, and it just gives a shudder where you'd feel like you ran over a rumble strip. And at the same time, the torque converter, the RPMs would flare just a little bit. And in some cases, there's a flush and procedure to go through of replacing fluid where you can salvage it and make it go away with a few $100s worth of fluid and flushes. The way you describe that, I'm inclined to think you might have a transmission issue and not an engine issue. That's my first instinct based on a personal experience that I had.
Unless the check engine light is flashing, it'll flash if it's got a misfire like that.
If it was that bad of a misfire, you should have a check engine light.
Well, it'll come on, and then it'll go off, but then the mist doesn't go away. But now I notice sometimes when I come to a stop, if I'm in drive, seems like it kind of might not idle as smooth as it was when I first got.
This sounds different.
If you have a miss when you're at idle, then it's not a transmission, 100%. It's something else that's causing the miss at idle. Still could have a transmission problem and a miss. Those could be two separate items. But if it does it while you're stopped, parked, in idle, it's missing, that's an engine misfire. And I would address that first, because in order to diagnose any transmission problem, you need a smooth running, non-missing engine.
Do you know what the code is for? Have anybody checked it yet?
No.
Okay.
I haven't. And some, it seems like when I'm at the point where I could get it checked, then the light's not on. The check engine light's not on, and I think it needs to be on when I get it checked.
Well, somebody with the right equipment can see what's been happening. Not all of them store in history, but many of them will show. And MIL light was on, turned off, or whatever they call the damn thing.
And that will say something about the
history.
problem too, right? I mean, if it's not keeping a history code, that's different than if it is, and you would be able to. It'd be a different problem, maybe, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's got to have a history code if it's missing.
Ken, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. I have a question for you. You recently posted on Facebook, you have a collector car that you don't take out very often. You did, and this is just a general... In that situation, I noticed you posted about it, and then right at the end, you put a little line in there. By the way, if you want to buy it, I mean, we can talk.
I've actually had a number of people call me off that post, and that was not the intention.
But you can't just not put that out there. I mean, you want to,
because I am at some point going to sell it. Yes.
Right. Was it in that situation? Is there a protocol or a setup that you have to go through that sometimes makes it not worth it? I mean, that is. I
had to move the car off the hoist.
Okay.
I got another car I need to work on, and that car normally sits up on a hoist and doesn't get touched.
Just for storage.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I took it down, and I could have pushed it out of the garage. And I'm like, you know what? I keep a battery maintainer on it. It's in a climate controlled storage. Oils. I knew I changed the oil and filter on it without starting it. I just changed it because it hadn't been driven, but I wanted to get new oil. And like Russ has said, I wanted to get a new filter on it. So the filter media didn't break down.
Yeah. Melted cardboard.
And so I thought, well, let's see if it starts. So cranked nice, crank, nothing. Tried doing the old automatic choke, all the way to the floor, let it up. It's just didn't start. So 3 pumps.
So now you're in. Now you got to get it started.
3 pumps.
Yeah.
Starts up and it just runs like a brand new car. It was amazing. And it's the same gas that's been in that car since I bought it. And I bought it 10 years ago.
You need to get it out of there before it
I
turns.
went down and drove it a little bit, and I put fresh gas in with it because there was only like an eighth of a tank in it.
You put it in a jar, and then you can... I don't know
so now it has a full tank of gas in it with stable. I hope it's not worse than how I left it before. But this car has started every time I've wanted to move it, and I never move it more than 2 or 3 miles. And so that's the longest drive I've taken it on for a while. And it was just out of Garrettson, down to the Palisades State Park, the new turn in, and back. And so I moved it from 1,908 miles to 1,911 miles. So people that say, well, you just got the speedometer disconnected. No, it's connected. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody saw you driving it. They said, Shannon was driving his old car. I was like, no, he wasn't. It's like, yeah, he was driving. I'm like, okay.
I wanted to drive it further, but I do have, you talk about protocol. I am concerned about, will the brakes work if I got into a panic situation? Yeah. The tires on it are the original tires. If I go faster than 40 miles an hour. Am I going to blow a tire off and then rip the crud out of the
you were
inner
brave enough
fenders?
to get out on that highway because
Yeah.
you know what happened to me in that exact spot 2 weeks ago?
No.
Look at my windshield. There's a rock chip this big
No,
around in
there's
my
a lot of
windshield.
things that
This big around.
but I had to do it.
Yeah.
I wanted to drive it. Once it started, I'm like, I need to drive this.
Almost starting had to be like, ooh, that had
Well,
to.
but once I pumped it 3 or 4 times, it fired instantly. I just didn't want to pump it right away. I knew it was probably dry, but I wanted to try just seeing if it would just start
just fire up
with automatic choke, but I knew it probably needed to be pumped, but I didn't want to over pump and then get it flooded but it just fired right up.
Let's talk to Jerry. You're on the Under the Hood show, Jerry. What can we do for you?
Hey guys, I've got a 2013 Yukon XL, and Russ, I know you've worked on it a few times. But recently, last month or two maybe, when I go to take off from the stop sign or whatever, there's like a clunk, like there's some kind of play. But if I take off really soft, it doesn't do that. Is it driveline situation or what?
Could be they had some drive shaft issues on those, right where they go into the transfer case with the shaft wearing on them. They had a little bit of issue there. Could be something in the rear end too. It'd be something we just have to drive and feel it and see what's going on.
Seat of your pants, feel it.
Yeah, could be a number of things.
But the rear drive shafts and the bushing going into the transfer case definitely could be it. I mean, you could have a bushing out in a rear arm on the rear end.
Yeah.
You know, there's some different things there. You get a few moving parts in the back of that vehicle for sure that you'd want to check out.
I did notice that it's also leaking a little bit of oil, kind of, at the back of the motor, more or less, or the tranny area.
Yeah, those rear covers, if they're starting to leak, they'll leak a lot of oil shortly. So if it's dripping a little bit there now, it'll probably turn into a huge amount, like a 2-foot puddle on
So there could be 2 different things going on that need to be inspected.
Correct.
But those vehicles will run and run and run and run, and they will run with some of those problems for a long time too. And then all of a sudden, until it breaks
all
something,
of the-
it takes the pinion out of the rear end because it's had too much movement on it. Or it takes the transfer case out because it's had too much movement on it. Or all of a sudden, you that oil leak becomes a gusher, and all of a sudden you lose a couple quarts, and it just can be catastrophic when it happens. So you don't want to mess around too long, but you can wait a little bit and get it inspected.
Jerry, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Real quick, someone posted on the chat and said, have you talked about the fact that the car market in general is going down and how that will affect Barrett Jackson? Does that have any real...
The car market is slowed. It's not really going down because around here, I have people tell me every day when we're putting engines in, they're like, I'm gonna spend whatever it is on their car, whether it's a couple $1,000 or $8,000-9,000 to put one in. They're still saying, I can't go buy my exact model car for anywhere near what it's going to cost me to put that engine in. So they're still. Yes, they're getting cheaper, but they're still crazy expensive. As far as those auction cars go,
They're just a separate...
they're completely separate because the auction industry and collector cars have continued to go up steadily for decades, and they're continuing. I think they'll never stop.
I've
they're
noticed that
collectibles.
prices have dropped drastically on the cars I want to sell, but they haven't come down as much
Right.
on the cars I want to buy. You know what I mean?
Right.
The values don't reflect depending on your attitude towards them. We're going to take a break for a week. We'll see you next week. That's smooth. That's what I'm here for. Those smooth transitions like that at the end of a show. When I
We're gonna
panic
take a
and just
break
end
for
it.
a week.
Yep. That's why you guys have me. This is the after show. That's my role. When people say, "Why are you on there? You're not testing gasoline." That's me. I'm the smooth one there. If you notice, that's how it works. I
You're a
learned that in
smooth
school.
criminal, Chris.
That's right. All right. What else? After show, I have an idea. Shannon, I'm going to ask.
I'm over here adoring our business cards Russ just got me.
You pay attention to
They're
this.
mine too. See, they're
You tell me if this is a
convenient.
good idea.
Cheaper. Put both names on them.
I have an idea for you for videos on YouTube to create. We talk about this a lot on the show, And every time we do, I have no idea how or what to do. So
what is it?
You should create a series of videos, and it should be all shorts, not one long video. Short videos of, we talk a lot about using a test light on the show and how to use a multimeter, etc. So I'm going to make a series of videos on how to test specific things with the multimeter. So and then video 2 is alternator. Here's where you're going to check it. When we say this, test it here. If it's green, whatever. I don't even know what.
I might watch some of those videos. Russ make those videos.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean.
I've made some that are crazy with the amount of comments and what they do. And other ones you're thinking, this is a great video. Why is nobody watching it?
And this is just, so the video would be, this is just in general on a GM from 2004 to 2022. This is how you test the alternator with a test light. Okay. Watch other videos to find out how to do it on a Ford or whatever.
Here's how you back probe.
Right. That's the one. When he says touch, go to the alternator wherever, and then go there.
It's going to start out with me backing up a Ford probe.
Yeah, is it?
If we had one, I haven't seen one in years.
Dad joke, automotive dad joke. That's a good one.
What's a Ford probe?
A bunch of test light videos.
Sounds like it hurts.
How to use the test light, how to use a meter and touch at it and see how it goes. That'd be good, right?
I think there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Because when you say
why don't you look that up? There's probably 100 of them.
That's all right. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You gotta.
I can't wait to just start building stuff because I got a place to do it. Just fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a guy build a UFO boat. Have you seen that one on YouTube? So he's got a little over 1 million subscribers now after he put that together. But it's like
a what?
A boat.
It looks like a flying saucer.
So these guys that are in like Thailand and stuff, that there's that one guy, the maker, you've seen his stuff, haven't you? There's no words. These people don't say anything. They just point and do stuff. The maker, all you see.
They build a hut out of the woods and dig a hole.
But well, those are good too. But this guy just shows his hands, and the maker, and he'll like have a tool and he'll shake his finger. No, and he does this and puts it. And the videos are all getting like 1 million views each. He's got millions and millions of subscribers. But this guy built a UFO. He starts out, gets a pole and some junk bearings out of his scrap pile, and he welds them together, and he sticks this pole in the ground with a hammer, and he made a little piece of metal that was shaped, had a curve to it, and he put it on the bearing, and he kicks it, and it goes around, and he adjusted it until it makes a perfect circle, like a lawn sprinkler type thing. It's like, what's he doing? Then he starts shoveling dirt into a pile. And he shovels the dirt into a pile, and he's going around with his bearing and his stick, and it's making the shape of, it looked like the top of a UFO, a dish. When he gets done, he pulls off the arm, and he puts concrete, like quick concrete mix over the top of it's pretty thin, like you put on your tile floor, puts that over the top of the dirt, and sands it, makes it nice and smooth. Then he puts fiberglass resin on it, and he makes the top of the UFO. He does the same thing for the bottom of the UFO, and then he takes a jet ski that he had cut, an old broken down one, he had cut it apart, grafted that onto the bottom of it, put the engine and everything in it, puts it all together, paints it, put windows in it, and he's out driving down the river in Phuket, and there's a UFO. It's got electric doors he made in the back. It's really cool. There's a lot of that kind of stuff out there that people like to see. I've seen.
How big is it? Big enough for him to be in, obviously?
Bigger than this table. It's probably 10 feet across.
Chris
could pull it up on YouTube. Yeah. It's very, very cool. But that kind of stuff is really cool. People like things. Our biggest videos are ones on how do I reset I think our top video that pops up all the time, I'm getting comments every day on it, is how to reset my oil life on my Honda Odyssey. Because when I make those videos, I get right to the point.
Yeah.
The title says how to reset oil change, and all of our comments are the same on that one. Wow, this was so fast. Thank you. It actually worked. And they took the time to comment because it's like a 12-second video. It's like, here's the video. It says, okay, we're getting right to it. Key, on, hold, press, off, fixed. One more time if you missed it. Key, on, hold, press, off, fixed. Did you get it? All right. I've done it 2 times quick. One more just for good measure. Here it is. Thanks. We got more videos. Off we go. People love it when it's fast.
I used a video this last weekend for a Dorman OE fix, just because I wanted to confirm something in my head. I thought I knew it, but I just wanted to confirm. But I found a 2-minute video that somebody had put this little circuit board in the trailer brake control thing. And there again, his comments on there were all like that. Hey, thanks for making such a good, concise video. I really appreciate it. And then and that little video had been seen. It was a mechanic guy that does fix-it videos.
Did you put the Dorman Products circuit board in?
Yep, it took care of the problem.
And it took care of the problem. So we discussed this before, but now we're discussing it again on the End of the Hood show. That circuit board is the fix. And we think that, we don't know because we haven't spoken to Dorman directly, their engineering department, but we probably could. They have, either the board is the failure or they have upgraded the board
to handle a little bit of resistances in the circuit.
To change what it normally sees with a plugged in or unplugged trailer, because it knows when the trailer is not plugged in.
Because I got underneath there and I took the spare tire down and I inspected all the wiring and the plugins and put dielectric grease on. Everything looked great. So I don't know what the issue was. Nothing green inside the plug-in. So I put that in there, and he's driven back to Whitewood, South Dakota with no thing coming on so far. Got another check engine light, but we'll figure that out later.
Dorman Products has some crazy stuff that fixes.
It was, and this little circuit board was $20-some compared to the full switch from GM, which was $120 list or something like that.
If I got a video,
and it took me literally 4 minutes to replace it.
If there were a video on YouTube that said, here is the meaning of life. If you watch this video, you will be a trillionaire and you will have complete and utter happiness. And it were 11 and a half minutes long. And there's another one that said, you're not going to get complete happiness, but this will amuse you for a minute and a half. And the video were 90 seconds long. I would watch the 90-second video. And the
90-second one would have like so many more views, it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, and then I would maybe look at the key points of this video on the big long one, but I'm not going to watch a 12-minute YouTube video that'll make me happy.
I find myself skipping forward a lot on videos. There's one person I watch for some information I use a lot and I need, and I just know that all his videos are about 18 minutes long, and I know I can skip the first 13 or 14.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the same old stuff, blah, 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 for that. And if I miss something, I can go back. But I'm probably not going to. I just go right to it where all the views go up. But there are some videos that a 2-hour video or a 3-hour video is needed. Like when you see the guy building the cabin in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to sit back. You're watching it. You're eating lunch, whatever. You just want to watch this guy do every step as they go, because it's a lot of stuff. And if you're watching even 10, 15 minutes of the video, they count it as a view and he's good with it. There's not too many ads in it. You just go through and you're watching them building the cabin, and they're not talking. They're just out there chopping away.
I'll watch I wouldn't watch an 11 and a half minute video that would change my life, but I'd watch a 20-minute video at twice speed on wood turning an epoxy bowl. I don't know what I'm part of the machine.
Hey, you can do that with the End of the Hood show. If you don't know that can be done, you can change the speed, and it sounds pretty good. I think up to about 3 times, and then you could slow it down too. So it's like it's really slow and sounds awesome. Or you could speed it up. It's like you could watch a 20-minute video on the End of the Hood show, and you watch it really quick, and you get all your information very quickly while you're watching.
That was good.
That's pretty good.
That was really good.
What's that going to sound like now at twice speed?
Prices may vary. Only one in stock at this price. Stock number 224.
Results may vary.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. We don't want to make this YouTube video too long.
No.
A couple weeks from now, we'll be down in Arizona.
Put the keywords as Horizon GLH or Omni GLH and see what happens.
There you go.
We have probably nothing. Nobody knows what they are anymore.
Shelby.
One more show in studio before we are at Barrett Jackson Live. So I know you won't forget because we've been talking about it for 6 weeks, which is good.
Should be a wonderful experience. We're looking forward to it.
And by the way, I've been posting this call. If you if you have a question, call our 866 number now and leave us your contact info. We'll call you from Barrett Jackson. Because we're going to be doing a show down there. We can call you and answer your questions, whether it's about a classic car or not. So you can do that right now. You can call, not right now, because Doug will answer. And then you'll be like, and you'll hang up on him. And he'll be like, because
it'd just be awkward.
Right. Although he could take down your information. If it's right now, while we're live, he could actually take it down, and then he'll be the one to call you. It really is. It's perfect. It's a perfect situation. Anything else?
No. Nothing. We can't wait for about a week.
Yep.
Is there something that you don't have anything, and this is your way of saying I don't have anything?
I do have something.
Oh,
but it's a whole other subject we'd get into.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't need to right now.
All right. You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
We talk about EVs enough.
Oh, you're talking about the GM thing and rental and all that.
Just some other stuff.
I was going to talk about that.
That's more of it's probably a main show topic than
maybe.
After show.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I can say this to tease.
Oh, please.
The company that first said that they were going to that they were going to make all EVs by 2030
bailed.
They've bailed on it this week.
Who was it?
Volvo.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Didn't GM say that too? That they were going to all future.
They followed. Volvo,
they changed.
Volvo was the first one. I think what's it, Geely Motors, whatever owns Volvo now.
Gila.
Is it Gila? Is that how you say it?
I think it's Gila.
It looks like Geely.
Like Gila Monster. Gila Monster.
GH something. Is it Healy? Is the G silent? And I just don't get it.
I have no idea. I'm just guessing.
Okay. All right. Sounds like an Austin Powers thing. But no, there was. I haven't read the whole story yet, but they said that no, they have to be more pragmatic about their market decisions, and
they really did. They all jumped on that so quick. And who was the voice of reason in all that?
Hertz is starting to dump some of their trucks. Yeah. They got 35 of the new GM. Have you seen any of the Silverado EVs yet? They got 35 of them for sale on the Hertz site. They've had them for a year. They're the extended range ones too. They're selling for about $63,000 a piece, which they said is a huge drop. But they're claiming I'm seeing the ads now a lot on TV, and they're claiming over 400 miles of range. We'll see if Ford said that too. And what did they get nicknamed? The range liar. So we'll see what GM does. Maybe they're good. Maybe they're not.
The Hummer.
When
it first came out, people were buying them for over sticker. There was a rush.
Crazy money.
Now GM's offering incentives to sell them, and they're offering lease programs to sell them.
They are,
and they're quite a vehicle.
Yeah, they're very heavily advertised, but they're way smaller than you think. Those ads on TV, they look ginormous, you think like bigger than an older Hummer. They're like a Blazer or something.
When you see one going down the road, they definitely catch your eye.
They are.
I have not seen one.
They're an appealing looking vehicle.
I've not seen one in real life.
Yeah. There's not that many. I mean, I heard Leno talking about the other day too. He says, EVs are what they are, but he says, I'm a guy, I got a steam car, steam is cool, and gas is cool, diesel's cool. Got some airplane engines in cars.
It's all different ways of
propulsion.
But
he said, yeah, it's not the thing. He says, when they say it's the future, you're right. It is the future. I'll be long dead when they come out. You know what I learned from him yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
They made a steam-powered airplane. Did you know that, Chris?
I did not.
I did not either. And he named what it was. I mean, that guy is full of knowledge. But
sure.
He's getting old.
I did not know that, and I'm not surprised that I didn't know
that.
They
said that it was a spy plane. They used it for a spy plane. They made some of them because when they go overhead, they just go. There's no.
They the whistle. They got rid of the whistle.
Got rid of the
whistle.
First. I'm just wondering, wouldn't they smoke?
That'd be a bad spy plane.
Wouldn't it be like a cloud of smoke behind you?
Was that a teapot or a spy plane?
All right, that'll do it. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you later.